Okay, so for the Final Fantasy VII event preview, which we'll do first out of the three, um, I don't think that we're going to be getting this on Thursday, but honestly, like like I said, it's up in the air. Who knows? So we will do it. Do it anyway. Definitely no new characters here. Obviously, we got a banner needs taken a look at, but as for the event itself, we do have a couple abilities, which they named as Remnant Barrage and Necrofire. I believe they were eventually soft translated into something else, and I'm sure again they will be changed into something else yet again for global. But it looks like we have single target, dark elemental, physical damage, 3 to 5 hits. More hits, the lower own death sentence count is, or doom counter. And it looks like we have a clone of that for magical. Necrofire is the magical one, and Remnant Barrage is the physical. Both of these abilities suck, and I suggest shattering them. New feature is the X mode that we will be seeing on Cloud's USB. Though we first learned about this from the festival banners, yeah, we technically have not. The first X mode in the game still belongs to Cloud, as Phase 4 of the fest has not started yet. In general, X mode grants a temporary, unique set of bonuses to the user. It's really nothing special. It's just the USB gives them a status. It's not exactly a new feature. It's a new terminology they've decided to use. Similarly, any shortened charge cast time effects also stack with other sources from these effects. That is because it is a unique status. X mode does not include an auto haste and does not change attack and defend, saying it's from burst mode. Yep, that is because it is a unique status. So that's all that's going on there. We'll take a look at the relic draw, because that's all anyone wants to see anyway. We only have one banner for this event. And wow, we're getting some Chrono Cross tonight. Okay, one banner, starting off with Cloud's USB 4-seater, RS small wind up. So it's not a good sword, wind sword. We get our Ultimate Cross Slash USB 5 single target wind dark. Cloud is a darkness character now, apparently. Self-critical 100% and X-mode soldier. So we see that he gets a unique status, X-mode soldier, and he gets the status self-critical 100% in addition to a little bit of single target damage. And the soldier X-mode gives him physical attacks plus 30% damage, which is actually a really nice benefit. That's just a flat damage boost. And he can overflow, which means that anything that you use during the time period, which is 15 seconds, that's how long the X-mode social lasts, it can break the damage cap. And this is a really interesting thing, and it hasn't been quite matched as far as its damage potential and versatility in the time after it was released, even in Japan. You can throw this on a lot of people that have access to very high multiplier stuff. It is simple as something like Snow Spell Strike, the 6-star ability, because that's a high multiplier base. And then the multiplier increases, obviously, when it's exploiting vulnerability. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, especially you find stuff on people's bursts and stuff that can really benefit from being able to overflow because they run into cap issues. One thing that comes to mind would be Sephiroth's Burst Soul Break 1. It has a 2-hit defense ignoring command, which really just gets a renewed lease on life with Cloud's USB. Does Cloud USB work well? Yeah, Refi is definitely somebody that runs into cap issues. She has so many different ways to damage boost, but she only has a 4-hit command, and you're gonna see her like scraping the 10,000 damage per hit cap very often because of the way her character works. And she would definitely benefit from RWing in this end. But moving on to whether or not this is good as a native relic, I do believe it is very much. Cloud actually has Spellblade 5 access. Doesn't have Spellblade 6 access, unfortunately. But having Spellblade 5 and Samurai 5 gives him access to a lot of powerful Spellblade abilities, and when this is used with those, he can start doing a ton of damage. And that's not even including this paired up with his Burst Soul Break 2, which also appears on the banner, which is a very, very powerful wind burst for Cloud. And those used together, if you have any Trust Batteries going against a wind vulnerable boss, is going to... It will carry your entire fight as far as damage is concerned. It is, while it is definitely known as a great RW because of the myriad of ways you can use it on other people, Cloud actually benefits from it quite a bit, and it is extremely powerful in his hands. So it is worth having natively. Second up on the banner, we have the Enhancer, which is... doesn't have any characteristics by itself. Oh, wait a second. The 3 was... Yeah, okay, sorry. It does have RS small damage wind up. The 2 was over here. And that is... it may have dialogue from Zack and Cisne from the Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. It would not be the first burst, or the first Soul Break in the game where that was stripped out, though. And who knows what the reason for that may be. We suspect it's probably licensing issues, because Japan is kind of weird when it comes to music and voice licensing. So we may not get that. However, we do get the CSB itself. Zack CSB is one of the better ones. It grants party attack 50%, high critical, and in fact, it is the win limit chain. The high critical is the same status that is on Rams's Chant, which increases critical damage by 50%. Normally, criticals do 150% of your damage. With high critical, you do 200% damage. So every critical that you make, you do twice as much damage. Obviously, this is meant to go with the 100% critical rate on Cloud's USB. These two go together, peas in a pod, and they're really, really powerful. Alright, one moment. Cat wants out of my bedroom. Alright, we're back. Next up we have Sephiroth. And Sephiroth has been, I don't know, dished on for a while because of his low ability pool and sometimes uninspiring soul breaks. However, with his Burst Soul Break 1 kind of jumping back into the scene, and the introduction of his Burst Soul Break 2 here, that all changes. Because he takes his throne as one of the premier Darkness characters, and one of the things that helps him out and alleviates the entire first issue here is the first Relic Fizz, which is a 20% dark damage up katana. So what I'd do if I got Sephiroth's katana, and I wanted to use him as one of my physical characters, is I'd just take the katana and I'd fully augment it, and now he has a plus damage katana that has a fair amount of attack that we used in all realms. So he doesn't actually require either a dagger or a katana in another realm anymore, because he can always use this, and he'll always do a ton of damage. So that's how I'd run that, and that would work great. As for the burst itself, we have 8 single target, dark non-elemental, and dark self-shield. I don't know what we're going to end up calling this when it comes to global, but what this is it's a dual blink. So it's a blink that has 2 charges on it, and each charge will be able to absorb or, nullify either physical or magical attacks. And this can only be this only has 2 charges on it, and they don't work separately. It's not 2 magical and 2 physical. It's just 2 physical and magical. And it's you remember how we've been evaluating the openers for bursts. We have burst mode and haste and dark, and that would be a normal opener. In this case, this is a completely bonus effect because everything else here is what you would find on a typical burst. Go 2 down and you find exactly what I'm talking about. Burst and wind damage, burst and dark damage, plus the blink. The blink is a free effect, and that's a really nice thing to have. As for the burst commands itself, we have excellent commands, really excellent commands. We have Dark Bargain on the defend command, Area of Effect, which is good because I don't believe there are any Area of Effect darkness anywhere outside of burst commands, and we definitely find that here, as well as that being a Dark Bargain command, so we like that. And really what the highlight of this burst is his first command, which is similar to the Papalimo, Maria, and Adia bursts, where you get 3 to 5 single target attacks, depending on the magnitude of your attack. There you go. And what's nice about this is it's not your typical, the 5th attack just gives you a little bit more damage, up to, like 2.6 multiplier or something. It actually moves it up to like 3. I'm gonna go take a look and show you like the comparison of this command and why this is so supremely powerful. Who has a similar command? Because I'm looking at Warrior of Lights, and he is able to hit 5, and this is good enough. There are some that they're based on attack, but there are some that are based on defense, where you get your 5th hit. But if you get 5 hits by having 2,490 defense, you actually only get a total multiplier of 2.4 with a Warrior of Light, and that's something similar you see further along in the anywhere. However, Sephiroth is different. Sephiroth gets his 5th attack at 1180 attack, which is actually a lot easier to hit than it sounds, because of Sephiroth's base and the fact that he can Dark Bargain on his first command, and you get 20% more by just being in burst mode. But if you hit if you have all 5 attacks available, it actually ends up being a 3.0 multiplier, and I believe we went over this not too long ago on my stream, and that this is the most powerful single target command in the game. As far as multiplier is concerned, you just take this at 3.0, you add the end dark 50% damage to it, and it's a 4.5. I don't believe there's anything as powerful as this, and that's a good thing to have, especially considering that it's not an increase in base multiplier, but it's an increase in attacks. So he has a very high damage potential with 5 attacks at a gigantic multiplier. So this is actually an extremely good burst. And along with the fact that it is a plus dark damage katana, so it makes Sephiroth good in any realm. Another thing worth noting is in the future, we will be getting a Final Fantasy VI banner that is headlined by Shadow's USB, which turns Shadow into a chase mode Dark Ninja and makes him extremely powerful. And since it's elemental, one thing you're always looking for elemental characters like that is weapons that can increase that elemental damage. And the only weapon inside the game that Shadow can use that increases dark damage would be this katana. So that's another thing that's worth noting if you plan on pulling on the Shadow Setzer banner in the future. Alright. Next up, we have Kate Sith's Burst Soul Break. Definitely should not be overlooked, because this is very, very nice. This turns Kate Sith, what was originally someone considered to be more of a white mage with support abilities. He really just becomes a support at this point, and you'll see why. We have definitely physically focused. We have attack defense to party 30% and grants a crit fix to 50% to the party. Though this is a very powerful effect, it is obviously not meant to be used with Cloud, because this crit fix to 50% would overwrite the crit fix to 100% on Cloud's USB. So, unfortunate that these two end up on the same banner. I would have liked to see this moved off and added to, say, the next banner with Vincent and Red 13. I guess they felt that there was too much support already on that one, with Red 13 and Shulk dominating the banner. But anyway, this is still a very, very good burst, because we have an excellent buff set going into it, and for commands, we have stacking debuff commands with attack and defense and magic and resistance. 2 times single target. However, unfortunately, they're white magic damage, so the damage quotient is based on magic. Ugh, God, mind, not magic. Which is kind of weird when you consider that he buffs attack and buffs critical, neither of which these commands take advantage of. However, if you want to take a look at it on the spreadsheet, they do have very high commands, so it's made up, very high multiplier commands, so it's actually made up for it there. So really a really good burst. A little confused. I wish it was a little more, I don't know, unified in its purpose. However, it is still excellent. And Kate Sith actually becomes a really good support for Magicite later, because he is able to use this to buff the party, because buffing is more valuable than debuffing in the Magicite dungeons. And then we will we'll most likely have some 5-star Bard abilities for him to use at that point, which would be good for a Magicite team, because of the buffing ability that he gets from those as well. So you would use the burst and then ignore the commands since they're not terribly valuable inside Magicite, and just use the Bard abilities instead. This is a pretty good song. I think a lot of people who have played Final Fantasy X have probably gotten a little sick of this song because of the minigame that is attached to it. Can get really, really rage-inducing. I've even seen speedrunners rage quit during this song. Alright, so next, or at least that would be the top end of our banner. And all the... Oh, wait, no, it's not. We have Cloud's Burst Soul Break too, so we're not even done the barrage of really good bursts. This is not new. People should know about this one, but I'll go into it anyway. We have a single target, Wind Non-Elemental, and a powerful first command. Not nearly as powerful as Sephiroth's. Not only is the multiplier not as high, but it's limited to 4 attacks, so the multiplier increases with higher attack, but the amount of attacks does not increase. So it's a little limited. However, it is on Cloud, who, with the right team, can break that 4 single target limitation with his USB. So that's something to think about, and that's why these go together really well. Because it's just, all you're looking for with Cloud's USB is high multipliers, because caps no longer matter. And Dark Bargain on the second command. That's obviously a good thing. So, Really, really good top end of the banner. Moving along, we have Kate Sith's Super Soul Break. You know, I've used this, and I actually like it. I use it in Torment 250s. It's that good, because it allows him to full breakdown and then use 2 dances. It's really great for area of effect fights. However, I don't imagine it being highly sought after on this banner, because in almost any situation, Kate's Birth Soul Break is going to really remove the usefulness of this. It is really just a niche use Super Soul Break, and yeah, I wouldn't be looking forward to it if I were pulling on this banner. We have Barrett's Super Soul Break, which is actually kind of decent. It's just a hyper break. But that's fine, you know? He's a support. He's a full support, so he's able to stack full break, a breakdown, and this hyper break, which would be a fair amount of debuffing for just one character in a Sid mission scenario. So this is probably one of the better Super Soul Breaks on the banner. It is just unfortunate that Barrett is the one that holds it. However, I don't really care. I'll use him in a Sid mission if that's what it takes to win. And this is a good Sid mission relic. Vincent with the short barrel is doesn't really belong on this banner. Definitely not something people are looking for here. Yep, no thanks. Definitely even worse here. We have something for Rufus. Yeah, this is not good. Rufus actually has an event that just came out that centers around the Turks and whatever with Alina and Rude, and he actually gets kind of good, and it's weird. I'm still not used to that coming out of my mouth. However, his burst, and that's what makes him good, is also in Pearl Dark, and it just removes the usefulness of it at all. So when Rufus becomes a good character, he becomes a good character with a relic that makes this completely irrelevant. So this relic sucks. Next we have Sid, and this is a good, definitely a good Sid mission relic. Good RW, obviously. It's better than Shout, believe it or not, because it has a 2.5 cast time instead of a 3.0 cast time. And, you know, honestly, it's really just awesome for Sid missions. However, it has shown up on a lot of banners so far. And Final Fantasy VII happens to be very popular banners, so I wouldn't doubt that a lot of people have this. I don't and would like it. However, something to note about the banner percentages, how the distribution of banner percentages is BSB Plus is all 1%, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. And then at Super Soul Breaks are 2% each, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the last Super Soul Break mentioned on a banner is always dropped down to 1%. So these are your 2%ers. And one of the good Super Soul Breaks is 1%. So keep that in mind when you're going after this banner. These are all 2% to hit, and Kate, Sith, Vincent, and Rufus are all very undesirable. So that is something to keep in mind with a kind of a poor low end on this banner. Just be prepared if you want to chase for this Cloud USB. I don't blame you for chasing it. This is a very, very awesome top end to a banner, and obviously a game breaking relic. However, just be prepared. You're gonna get if your luck is average, you're going to get a fair amount of the crap. Okay, so that's the Final Fantasy VII event. And, you know, I just did the rundown. I like the banner. I think it's really good. Great top ends. It's very wind focused with Cloud, Zack, and Cloud's BSB. Definitely very physical. Because even our support relic is a physical buffer. And Sephiroth's Burst Soul Break, which stands by itself, is also physical. So, mostly wind banner with a support and a dark relic. It's really good. Alright, so any questions about this banner? Ugh. Something I may have missed in chat. I didn't really pay attention to chat while I was going over it. Why am I not pulling? Sure. Because it's a wind-focused banner, and I actually have heavily invested in wind already. Like, heavily invested. With my Alphino and Fusion. So I'm basically kind of committed to the future to magical winds. And I feel like by pulling on this banner, I would be kind of putting too many eggs in one basket. So, though I need Final Fantasy VII Synergy and originally planned on pulling on this banner, once I found out the existence of the Vincent banner, which is the next Final Fantasy VII event, which will be happening in about a month and a half, so it's not even that far away, because this isn't really considered a full event, while the Vincent event is. That banner's more focused on stuff that helps me more, and covers bases that I don't have covered. Where wind is something that I'm pretty awesome on. And yeah, Will does bring up a good point. The first Wind Magicite dungeon is Golem, and he's actually more focused on... he's easier to defeat with magic. However, one of the few things that's powerful enough for physical wind to beat Golem, or at least to do well, and consider it a benefit against Golem, would be Cloud's USB. So, I mean, don't lose sight of that. But yeah, I consider myself good on really powerful on wind, not just good, really powerful. So this banner isn't that great for me personally. Dersh can already paint with all the colors. Yes. I've fully dived Alphino and Fusion. They're ready to go. And I'll likely be R5ing the 5-star Wind Ninja ability, which is probably the most powerful ability for Golem. Because what Golem's like gimmick is he has extremely high defense and resistance. So stuff like Sephiroth's Burst and Sephiroth's First Burst, Strago, with his resistance ignoring burst, and Ninja Magic, which ignores resistance, are all very, very powerful against Golem. The 5-star Wind Ninja ability is just disgusting versus him. Yes, how long does Elf shield? What was Elf Shield? The only thing that I can think of that is similar to Elf Shield would be Alphino's Radiant Shield. It's 25 seconds. Yep, it's true. Strago's Burst is on the second banner of the Final Fantasy VI event, which I will be getting to. And it's awesome. It's really awesome. Self-shield. Oh, okay. Let me go check for you. We'll find out exactly what it's called. So, his burst is Octaslash. Dual Blink 2 is the name of the status. Looks like it is like the other blinks, and it has no duration. It lasts until it is expended. I think all the blinks are like that.